I'd like to welcome everybody that's here on time. I'm here with Komoncharoensiri, he's the Director of Technical Services at 4D in the US, and myself, William Taylor, William Taylor, Technical Account Manager and Head of Professional Services for the US team. First off, wish everybody a happy new year, happy and successful 2024. It's starting to be a busy year for us here at 4D, and I hope that it is as well for everybody else. So great to see y'all here. And we're here to, we haven't been able to talk for, well, we spoke at the summit, but I haven't done one of these since the version 20 release. And I did that, I believe, in August. So it's been about 6 months-ish since we've spoken. And a lot of it has changed in 4D. So today, we're going to take time, pause, and look at some of the features that have come out recently, either in 20R3 or 20R2, even for a couple of the features as well. They're notable enough to talk about. So we like to do this every 3 months whenever we do a feature release of 4D. And the feature release is exactly what it is. It's the release of 4D that contains all the new features, where we go through, review all of the features that we feel are really interesting and great to talk about, and just to kind of end it. While I'm going through the features, if there are any questions that come up, feel free to ask a question in the Q&A panel. And yeah, so great to have you all here. We're going to talk about 20R3, and let's get going. There's a lot to talk about. Oh, yeah, there we go. We have a few different topics. So our webinar is broken up into 4 different topics. One is developer features that concern the developer, the development of 4D. 4D Write Pro, 4D View Pro, and new on the docket, Qodly Studio things. So I'm sure we have a lot of questions about that, and hopefully we can get some answers to you today if you do have any. Without further ado, let's get started with the developer news. With 20R3, programmers can now declare, since for a few versions, 4D developers have been able to declare their variable types like this: the variable name, colon, and then the type, integer, date, what have you. So you were able to do that. It required a few lines to instantiate the object, because then you need to set the object to its original value later. Now with 20R3, you can now declare initialized variables in a single line, eliminating the need for the repetitive code. This streamlines the development process and makes your code a little bit more efficient and cleaner to read. And it's actually cleaner to read for anybody else that looks at your code later on. So anybody in Git grabs your code, looks at your code, they know exactly what's going on, and they know it is all initialized in the right area. And you can either do this by yourself, by the initialization. You can do that by yourself by doing var variable name type and then setting the value, or you can let the compiler do that for you. So in the var variable name equals value, so the first one, here that you see that the type is omitted, and that's going to be determined by the compiler or the interpreter based on the provided value. Now, it's advisable to use this approach exclusively with scalar types originating from values, commands, or methods to prevent compilation errors. Okay, so if you're going to use that, we recommend using scalar values and commands or methods so that the compiler knows how to assign the appropriate value. Or you can also set the type and then the value by using var variable name colon type and then the value. And you can do this, and this is going to be used for, let's say, complex types, or when you want to be sure that you're telling the compiler to use specifically the type. So you should probably do this if you're instantiating a complex variable like a class attribute or global variable or things like that. And The way that the first works is like this. So you have var bool equals true. Rather than having to do var bool and then true, and then setting it later, you can do it all in one line. It's very cool. And here, what I was talking about is if you decide to forego the use of, if you decide to not put in the type for the value, you can have some differences between what the compiler knows. The compiler isn't always as smart as you, and you can have some differences between what the compiler does and then the runtime of the code. So the code will compile, but the runtime may be a little bit different, maybe a little bit unknown. So do take care when you are instantiating complex objects. You know what you're telling the compiler what to do. Okay. And now we have also the simplification of Variadic function writing. Now, what is that? So imagine a function with an unknown number of parameters that are going to go into it. You used to do this using the $sign and then curly braces and then the number inside the curly braces at the beginning of a method, right? You could have as many reals or things like that that would come in. So you can now do this in a method like this. So imagine you have a method called sum numbers, right? That's this method, so this code is. And this, you want the sum numbers to sum up all of the numbers that are passed in as parameters. And you can do this with the ellipsis sign right there. Those 3 dots in there. So you declare the real, so you have 3 dots, you have an unknown number of reals coming into this. And what you do is you create a variable for the number and the total of type real. You have an iterator integer, and then you iterate from 1 to the number of parameters, and then you add each iterator object. So that's how it works right now. So you can easily define, declare a method that takes in an unknown number of reals and adds them up. And if you call total 1 and you say it's to be some numbers without any information inside it, with nothing passing the parameters, as parameters, that's going to return 0 because that's what the total will be initialized as. And then if you have total 2 as some numbers of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, that's going to return 15. So it's really cool, really slick way to do it now with the ellipsis. And then 40 also, what's cool about this is you allow 40, 40 will take the real a little bit and will return errors when you, if you call it with data that it's not expecting. Right now it's expecting reals. If you put in some text, doesn't know how to add that, it doesn't know what to do, so it'll provide you, it'll throw an error. And you can also accept any input by using the ellipsis, the 3 dots, without a type, and that brings everything in as a variant. So you can, what you're doing here is you have a function, bring in a value of a variant, and for each thing, it copies the parameters and it does something. So whatever you need to do. So a lot of flexibility with this variant, with this ellipsis inside of a method declaration. Cool. So the next topic I'd like to talk about is incremental synchronization with global stamps. Okay, so with 40 Mobile, we introduced global stamps for incremental synchronization. Now, this feature allows to update or synchronize data by transferring only changes made since the last synchronization instead of transferring the data set. So you're able to know what was diffed. 40 Mobile was able to know what the changes were, and they only sent over that information. And that was a really sweet functionality. That was a really slick functionality, making for you to be able to do the delta to only transfer and update the things that changed. So rather than copying over the entire data set each time. So this functionality is now available to you, the developer, using the REST 40 REST server to do the synchronization. While 40 automatically assigns stamps to newly created, modified, or deleted records, two new functions allow you to get these stamps in case you need to use them to synchronize your data. Now, I learned about this feature. This was kind of a hidden feature inside 4D, and we exposed this because when we were working with a developer who needed to synchronize three different 4D servers all around the world, and they always needed to be 100% synchronized. The developer did their initial work, and it worked pretty well using SQL to synchronize all around the world. The problem that they ran into is that if there was ever any packets dropped, or if there was any issue with the internet between those three different sites at any given time, there could be differences in data, and it was very difficult to know what had happened. So we went down the path of seeing how we could get this to work within the 4D data set. And now the developer is currently rewriting their solution using these 4D stamps and giving them the confidence to know that 4D is managing everything, and they're able to, and they're not now they're no longer reliant on faulty or issues with the internet that they were before with the SQL commands. So if data synchronization is something that you do and it's something that's causing you headaches, I would definitely check out this feature and the how do I on the blog. See, oh, there you go. And now it's just a click of a button, so you can enable the data tracking, and it creates specific global data stamps, kind of hidden fields that are now being exposed in 4D. So super cool stuff. And 4D empowers you to work efficiently with object collections, simplifying tasks like sorting, ordering, filtering, etc. Yet when data arrives from non-4D systems in the form of arrays, converting them into objects and back into arrays can be quite tedious, right? So in 4D v20 R3, a new multi-sort function came out, and that simplifies the sorting and synchronization of multiple collections, making data manipulation more efficient. And this feature also is coming from my talks with the developer, and from our talks with the developer in the US. So I'm sure they're very happy to have that feature inside 4D, and I hope you all are. So I think here is a quick demo. So you have three different collections, and now you're able to resort them using the multi-sort. So it puts it back to normal. And you can do ascending, you can do however you need to do, however you need to sort your data based on your use case. And it's always nice to see when 4D implements things that are from the feature request form on the blog. It's very cool. And there's complex, so do all sorts of cool stuff. And I guess I can take this point to say, if you do have anything that you need in 4D that's causing you headaches or your end user headaches, feel free to put it in the feature request form. We're always reading it, and the team reviews it every single week. And if something that you see on there that is interesting to you and would help you a lot, comment on it and put your vote to it. Those votes are the driving force for what the development team is working on. We want to make sure we're working on the things that the developers need, the developers and their end users need. Next is customization of WebSocket client headers. So customizing WebSocket client headers lets you inject specific information like preferences or requirements that you need into the WebSocket connection establishment process. Now, starting from v20 R3, you can now send security details, application-specific data, or any relevant information to the user using the WebSocket client headers. Now, if you're new to WebSocket things, which I was until recently, I got a quick crash course in it with the help of Thomas Mall, who presented a really cool demo what exactly WebSockets are and how they're used and how they can be used. So, and that was done during a few times the 4D method meeting. And that's a quick plug for the 4D method meeting. It's a great location for for people to review, discuss, and see really cool demos of what people are doing with 4D. And it's a great user group. I've presented at it, has as well, and we always enjoy and learn a lot whenever we attend. So it's a plug for that. And also, if you're interested in learning more about WebSockets, I invite you to check out Nat's awesome tech note that's fresh off the presses. I think it showed up yesterday on kb.40.com, so it's for you partners. Now, this is a great one, and it shows how to connect a WebSocket server to a 4D WebSocket client. So very cool. Good work, Nat, on that. 4D v20 R3 enhances support for Visual Studio Code through the 4D Analyzer extension. Now, there were two major improvements in v20 on this. And this is showing the 4D documentation in Visual Studio Code and formatting your 4D code. So the first one, starting with v20 R3, it's quite simple. So showing the 4D documentation makes your coding in VS much easier and lets you much easier to develop and make sure that you have the documentation where you need it when you need it, right? Now, starting with v20 R3, it's quite simple. You simply hover over your mouse over command or class method for which you want the documentation. And then a tooltip appears, like you see there. At the bottom of this tooltip indicates the show documentation. So that'll take you to the documentation. Yep, boom. Click it, and then you go to the get text documentation. So that's a very cool feature and helps productivity when you need to do your coding outside of the 4D method editor. And now I know this kind of feels like ancient history now, but there was a really cool feature that I feel in v20 R2 and that I wanted to highlight here, and that was the formatting of your 4D code. So you write your 4D code however you write your 4D code, and you want the formatter to look like the formatter in the method editor, right? But you don't want to do it yourself. You want it to be done automatically. So now you have the format document drop down if you right click on the code, and you can now format your document to be the way you need it. Didn't have a demo. Okay. And so get labels, fetch and remove emails from Gmail. That's right, you heard it. You asked for it, and we're working on it. Gmail integration with 4D. So with 20R3, we're in the process of extending the feature set of the 4D Netkit component. You can now get emails, labels, and remove emails from Gmail with this component, and there's going to be more to come. And here's a quick demo. So here's a quick demo from the how do I. You click the sign into Google, right? It takes you to Stefan, so our German colleague we all met at this 4D summit. He clicks through to accept his application. His application now is authenticated. And now from within 4D, he's able to receive all of his emails. And there we go. Yeah, the last one he had was a security warning, I guess. because of what he did. So, and Google always sends that automatically. So that makes sense. And you do whatever you need. Yeah, there you go. So it's very cool. So you're really getting the latest and greatest of your emails, and you can now edit your emails and send your emails using Google. So it's very cool, a very great, or you can send emails and you can respond and things like that. So it's very cool. And look for more to come, really. With each release, there's going to be more and more features as as they come out. So, and then you, developer community, also asked for the ability to get the is red flag from your emails in Microsoft 365. And with the release of 40 v20r3, Netkit can update the various properties of received and drafted emails using the Microsoft 365 or Office 365.mail.update function. Now, using Microsoft Graph, which is the way that you connect through to Microsoft 365, this feature allows you to modify multiple email attributes. Remember that specific properties such as body or subject can only be updated for emails in the draft status. So don't try to update your said emails. Don't think it works. Cool. So that's it for the development news. And I'm going to quickly go to the Q&A section. Someone asked about the updating their application into 20R3, and I think it's a specific question. I'll read it out loud. So when first working with 20R3, I was using a program originally compiled in v20.1. Okay, so LTS cycle. I encountered the requirement to have the v21 client executable update itself. Subsequently, I found that v20.2 compiled clients also required an update from v20.1. Is this the same updates, or will people be required to do 2 client updates?
I'm not entirely sure if I understand the question correctly. When you say the requirement to have 20.1 client executable update itself, you're talking about build application?
I imagine.
So essentially, if you have, okay. So yes, this is build application. The limitation on client update is that many organizations do not allow the client to update themselves. Okay, that's fine. So the simple rule of thumb is that when you compile and build for a particular version of 4D, now if it's a newer version of your engine, all versions, all application that is part of the build process should be updated at the same time. So if you are moving to from version 20.1 to version 20.2, yes, then therefore you have to force the update of the client at that time as well, because I imagine if a fix happened on both sides of the application, if there's any issues, both of them will have the same fix. Otherwise, there'll be a mismatch of of the fix or the implementation that we supposed to get. So I don't see any other way around but having to update both of them.
Someone asked, can we talk about what's involved in configuring a Google email account to be able to interact with 4D? That is the permissions you have to enable in Gmail itself. I'm not 100% sure what needs to be done in the Gmail, but I think the blog will go over that. And the how do I will help you get through that.
Yeah, a lot of these contents, as you've seen, came directly from the blog post. And most of the time we will include an example on how to do, how do I, to go along with the blog post, giving you information enough for you to go from point A to point B.
And then someone asked, the developer controls when the client update. Oh, the developer controls when the client update happens. You need to set the current version value in the build application dialog box. That is, if 4D client will want to update itself.
Correct.
So
that's part of the build application process. So, anytime that you make changes to the version of 4D that you're building with, the goal is to make sure that the server notify the client in order to get the new update application to perform the update. So the current value for the current version needs to be updated at the time that you're performing your build application.
yeah, thank you for that point. So, and the next section is 4D Write Pro. So previously, formulas could be displayed as values, expressions, or symbols, which may have been posing you issues and challenges with the readability of your 4D Write Pro documents. To meet this, to fix this issue with 4D v20 R3, developers now have the option to assign names to formulas. Now, this improves the intuitiveness of 4D Write Pro documents since users can quickly and easily identify and understand the purpose of each formula within the document, making it easier to work with templates and boosting the overall user experience. Now, two commands, WP insert formula and WP get formula, have been revised and improved to support this new formula display mode. Here we have a quick demo from. Oh, here we go. So display the formulas. There you go. You display the values. Great. Formulas are a little bit difficult. You want to get the formulas. Okay. And then you want to fill those formulas with some sample names, maybe. There you go. And you set the formula names. So now you have a much more readable application when you're using the formulas. So for your end users and when people are, and if you're doing a lot of templating, which we recommend using 4D Write Pro for, and now it's a lot better for you. So PDF-A format. Exporting PDF-A format from 4D Write Pro. Okay, if you know what PDF-A format is, great. If you don't, you're like me before I heard about this, and it's from what I've read, it's a format. It's a PDF-A is an archival version of type of PDF that is for long-term archiving. So it's kind of PDF down to its struts for the long-term archiving of things. So it's things that will always be supported in PDF. So if somebody needs to open something X years from now, they'll be able to open it in that version of PDF. It's just the core PDF functionality. And this can be, I think that this was specifically a big issue in countries where they have long-term archiving, in businesses where they have long-term archiving necessities. I think Germany is one of them, where invoices need to be stored for a long time for auditing purposes and things like that. And the PDF format has become a classic choice for exporting the 4D Write Pro documents and has been available since several versions, right? Now, starting with 20R3, there's an exciting addition, PDF-A format. This new format is optional, but opens up the possibility for future applications like electronic invoicing. You can export 4D Write Pro documents in PDF-A format in the usual way, either through the user interface, or programmatically. And both methods are just as straightforward as it always was. You can either choose between the most recent formats, PDF-A2 or PDF-A3. So it's a great feature if your clients are asking for PDF-A formatting of their PDFs. Another feature that came in 20R2, but I thought was really interesting, is the table wizard. So it's, in recent versions of 4D, many features related to tables have been added. Now it's now possible to easily create tables based on based on your data using context, data sources, and formulas, right? Now these tools are powerful, but they're intended for the developers. For an end user, it's a different story, right? That's why we introduced a robust table wizard in v20 R2. Now, the table wizard is a user-friendly tool that allows your end users to fully benefit from the templates provided by you, the developer, and tailored to their specific use cases and business needs. And also, if you look at this, if you're interested in this, there's a really interesting, there's a how do I, which is great in the blog post. And there's also a great YouTube video that's done by the team that really goes in depth on what it is and how to use it. So a great resource for you if your client has been asking to be able to do their own tables and manage their own tables. So another feature that came out that is pretty big in 40 View Pro or 40 Write Pro, excuse me, is the ability to merge cells. You can now merge your cells in your table, either manually or programmatically. So now the feature that we had in 40 View Pro to be able to merge your cells, like Excel, you can now do it in 40 Write Pro. So it allows you to have some new possibilities for simply making beautiful templates and documents from 4D. So very cool. And that is it for the main features of 4D Write Pro. Any questions on anything I've covered up to now? I'm going to pop open the Q&A. If anything comes up, feel free to pop it in there. And next is on to 4D View Pro. So we recognize that developers' challenges when working with larger and more complex 4D View Pro documents. If you're using 4D View Pro, you know your end users want to have more and more and more. And it's been a really great feature into 4D, and it's really enhanced a lot of business applications. So to meet that, need, we created a file format for you to be able to save your 4D View Pro documents in an SJS format, where you can save them off into your files or stick that anywhere you need. And now, also in v20 R3, we introduced a new blob format that allows you to store compressed documents in your database. And that also provides the same flexibility and ease of use as that SJS format, but in a blob. So if you need to stick it someplace, put it in an archiving system that you need to be able to pull back later, you can definitely do that now without blob. And that's it for 40 View Pro. There wasn't a lot for 40 View Pro. The next time we meet in about 3 months, there's going to be a lot more about 40 View Pro. Promise you there. Some major changes in 20R4. 40 View Pro. Enhancements. Oh, the person asked, in the import blob section, there is a command var myblob document is of type 40 blob. It gets the ds.mytable.all.first.blob. The question is, what is the .blob at the end of that? This is a screen grab that I did from the method editor. And what does the .blob do? And can you help me out there?
Sorry about that. So it looks like it does the conversion of the entity into a blob content. Usually when you do a DS and then for an entity selection, you can see right there that it does the dot first, which is go to the very first record and just do a conversion to blob. Now I'm actually quite a bit surprised that it does the whole record into a blob. So
we'll have to look at the
I have
data
to
file.
do a quick lookup because this kind of does something a little different than from what I understand. Because normally what you do is actually getting a blob from a field. In this case, is converting the whole entity into a blob, which I'm not sure if that's the right example.
Next is Qodly Studio news. So the Qodly journey continues with R3. Now we are still in developer phase or developer preview phase or beta, whatever. It's all the same to me at the end of the day. But every partner already has access to this new technology and these new possibilities. And we're looking forward to your feedback on the blog. So currently any partner is able to open up their 40 version 20 R3. They're able to open up their Qodly Studio for 4D editor with their partner licenses. And so Qodly is, so just kind of set records right and set records straight. So what is Qodly, right? Qodly is the way, it's a low-code, web-based development kit for web applications. So it's similar to it's a rapid application development environment, similar to what 4D is, and 4D what has been since its inception. But what 4D did for the desktop application, Qodly is that for a web and business application. And there are two places where Qodly is implemented. One is Qodly Studio for 4D, and the other is Qodly.com. Okay. And Qodly Studio for 4D, and they have two different use cases, and I'm going to kind of quickly go over what their use cases are. So Qodly Studio for 4D, what it is it works with your 4D application, and it allows you to host a web application in parallel to your 4D desktop application. It uses the 4D language, and it's self-hosted, so similar to 4D. So from your 4D, you can host a Qodly application from there. And so you want to think about this. Maybe you have a warehouse. Maybe you have a warehouse application. You're managing a warehouse. You're managing the stocks, and you're doing all that with 4D. Sorry, excuse me. With a 4D application, you have been doing that for years. You've got a ton of data in your 4D application. That's great. Now, someone wants to make an application for that web, for that 4D application in the web. Maybe a new use case. Maybe you're opening up a store in the front, and you need a quick inventory lookup web page. Well, that's a great use case, because now from your 4D application, you would then be able to extend your 4D app from your 4D application. You'd be able to extend into the web using Qodly. Okay. I'm sorry if I'm getting mixed up, but I just want to make sure I'm super clear. So it's extension. Think of it as an extension, a new business use for your current 4D application from your 4D environment. And the other place where the Qodly product is Qodly is on Qodly.com. And I advise you all to go over to Qodly.com if you haven't, and create an account. And Qodly.com is the place for new web applications. It's 100% web. And if you sign up right now, you can then go in there and you're able to create an app in your own personal sandbox, or start to create an app in your own personal sandbox. And you can either do this from a blank application or from a starter app that it can help you set up. So there's some tutorials and things like that in there, and it allows you to have currently you can have one sandbox application for free. So this is all free right now. And what is the language, right? Well, the language is something that we're calling Qodly script. And Qodly script, what it looks like a streamlined kind of Orda version of the 4D code. And so it looks like 4D with a little bit more JavaScript flair. So if you know 4D, you know Orda, you're not going to be lost at all from Qodly script. And what Qodly.com is we do the hosting for you. So Qodly.com, what that is it's also a hosting platform. So you can develop your application in Qodly, and Qodly.com allows you to publish those applications for your end users to be able to access them from anywhere that they need to access them. So I hope I did that clear. Hope it was clear for you, Ad. And I want to say, so I just picked one feature that I think is really cool with Qodly. There are many, but this is just one that I think is really it's emblematic of the power of Qodly. So, and that's its ease and use of getting your application output to have the right output. So, take a look from the designer tab within 4D. You have a designer tab for a time duration. So there's a time duration. And then from the designer tab, you click, you have a drop down, and you can click for a different ways that you need that to be presented in your application. Every application is different. There's no one rule. So you can have a lot of different ways to display duration. And sorry, they don't match up right now, but so you can have it with seconds, simple, without seconds, in distance, without distance, strict distance list. You can have all sorts of different ways that are proposed to you by default in the Qodly editor. Or you can click the help button right there, and that'll take you to the package that we use. They'll take you actually to the documentation for the JavaScript package that we use behind the scenes in Qodly, which is datefns, if that speaks to you. And then you can also use anything from the datefns library. So you can not only use what we're providing, but you can expand it into the way that you need to expand it. That's all very cool. And then also, Qodly is evolving. So it's a major work. It's a major undertaking from a lot of our engineering team, and we have a lot of people currently working on 4D, some very bright, and they're constantly delivering great new features. And we're making major strides in the editor, the Qodly editor, and we want to make it. And then we're also working on the stabilization and getting it to be battle tested and ready for its primetime release when it comes out. So if you want to hop in and start to play with it, and you have some ideas for some web applications, that's great. 4D partners can always open up from their 4D application, or if it's a completely new application that you don't want to do the hosting, we recommend you moving into Qodly.com, and then we can do the hosting for you. And you can let us manage all of that headache for you, and our team of experts to help you do that. So, and you can, in order to start that journey, I invite you to look at the blog, to read the blog of what's going on. There's also a forum specifically dedicated to Qodly.com. People are asking their questions. It's quite active. People ask questions, and then the developers and the customer success team that is led by Ayub Medwali. They're great, and they love answering your questions, and we love hearing your comments, answering your questions, and making sure the product works and fits for what you need. So there are video trainings right now. They're the same trainings that we're actually getting as 4D employees on Qodly, and we take them. Ayub Medwali's been doing them. You saw it and we take that and we're putting them on the blog, and they're free for you to use. And there are also tutorials for specific smaller use cases, like permissions, setting up permissions, how that all works in Qodly on the Qodly.com website. So we're starting to create a lot of content. This may be where all the questions were. So I'm going to pop open the questions, the Q&A. Someone asked pricing. So there are two different pricing models for Qodly. So Qodly has two different pricing models. The first is Qodly Studio for 4D. Because it's for 4D, it's within the 4D. Every connection to a Qodly application is a client license. So it's something that's built for business applications. It's not for making Google.com it's really for making a specific business application similar to 4D. So it consumes the client license. So it's similar to the licensing model that you currently know. And Qodly.com is a little bit different. It's using a named user license model, kind of following the trend of licensing models that are, and we're basing ourselves off the modern best practices of licensing models that are out there. So any sort of low code or most SaaS products will have this licensing model where it's a named user license model. And the price is the final price on the website. It says from $15. We're finalizing the price. We don't have this specific set price. But if you do have an idea for an application, feel free to let us know, and we'll get you the pricing right away when it goes from beta into more of a live setting. But and just rest assured, we're coming to a close on the licensing cost per month per user on the Qodly.com.
Yeah, Will, if I can just add one thing to that.
Go for it, please, Jim. Thank you.
So for Qodly Studio for 4D, that's included with your developer license if you're a silver partner or better or higher, silver gold. So you don't have to pay for Qodly Studio to develop with it. So what Will was referring to is the cost for your customers for deploying it. That makes sense. So you can start using Qodly Studio now for free with your developer license, your partner license. But if you want to start deploying it, then yes, it uses the same license as any desktop app or SQL connection or whatever with 4D.
Also in Qodly.com, you can also start using it for free. Sign up, create a sandbox, and you can start to create your application in Qodly.com.
Thank you.
Perfect. Someone asked does Qodly.com allow for e-commerce and encryption of sensitive data, and is it possible to restrict data to US domicile? So if you have an idea for an application, feel free to reach out to me or your account representative, and we can definitely have the discussion about it to see what we need. Qodly.com is current. I'm not sure exactly all of the feature set of Qodly.com right now and the roadmap, but if there are applications involved, if there are applications that you have that you would like to develop, we can definitely see how that could work. And to restrict the data to the US or domicile, I want to say, I want to thank you all, for joining me here today. And also I would like to say thank you all for joining us at the 2024 summit, either in Atlanta or in Paris, and making it such the wonderful conference that it was. The content and the location were amazing, but honestly, your presence and the fun conversation and everything else, the magician, the this, the that, the dinner, that's really what made it the remarkable event that it was. So, and if you'd like to relive some of the fun, and the keynotes are on YouTube, so you can always check those out. And customers who attended the summit or even paid for the summit but were unable to attend for unforeseen reasons should have already received the links to their masterclasses. And if you haven't, let us know and we'll get those to you. And if you were unable to attend and you'd like to join in on the fun and really get the great content of all of these 7 masterclasses, I invite you to go to the store and check them out on demand. So, and also Ad's awesome session. Can't forget Ad's awesome session about scaling your web server. So very cool. And one final note, we are currently working with a lot of people with the professional services on mirroring, 4D mirroring. So 4D, I talked about this at the summit. A lot of people had a lot of questions about it. So we currently have a component in the professional services team that manages all sorts of different types of exotic mirroring and disaster recovery, kind of following the gold standards of at least production server, mirror server right next to it, and then at least one other server, the hot swappable mirror, and then maybe a disaster recovery in case of a major meteor hits something and you need the data still for some reason. So in a Swiss bunker somewhere. So if you are interested in mirroring, or if any of your end customers are asking about mirroring, you'd like support on this, feel free to reach out to me or 4D at any way, and your account representative, and we can definitely start to talk to you about what that looks like, how that's working, and how you can get the mirror server up and running for your end users to give them the peace of mind that if something does happen, you got their back and you have their data's back. So, and again, I learn everything when everything comes out. I look forward to every new release on the blog. You get you have a lot to read the day that the version comes out, which I like. And yeah, so blog is a great resource for all of the how-to-whys, all of the trainings that are going on with Qodly, and any of the new features that are coming out. I'm not able to talk about them all here, unfortunately, but feel free to check it out more yourself. And I want to say thank you all for joining. It's fun, keeps me on my toes, and these help me learn, and I appreciate all of your questions. And I'm going to look to see if there are any more right now. Yep. So someone did ask, can a Qodly system be developed in Qodly and then develop in 4D and then move to Qodly? .com. And the answer is yes, but there are caveats. So a 4D system could be developed in Qodly. You could develop with 4D Studio. Why not? But
not a one-to-one. I'm sorry. Let me cut you off.
Yeah, I'm saying it can be, but it will require a lot of work to refactor all of the code that goes on in the 4D system. So you would need to rework the data, rework all of the code to have it be compliant with modern 4D practices. There can't be there. I would say if you have an idea and you have an application that you want in a Qodly system, you want in Qodly, develop it in Qodly. Would you agree with that?
Let me add something. Sorry. Well,
go for it.
So when you think about when you're using Qodly Studio, you're actually working on building something on top of your existing 4D application. Okay, so your data structure has already been built in your 4D application. Qodly.com is entirely different application. So the front end, you can still maintain all the front end framework, except all of the back end that is going to be hosted on Qodly.com needs to be recreated completely, and you have to clone it manually. It means that everything has to be matched one-to-one in order to make everything work and transferable. That's why there's a big separation, huge separation. It's not going to be something that you can just say, I'm going to transfer over to Qodly.com and have it hosted on the cloud. It's entirely different thing at that point. So my only recommendation is if you are planning to host something on the cloud, go ahead and develop your application directly on Qodly.com. Don't try to do double work on 4D side and then move it over.
Right. Agree with you, Ed. And to let you know, if you make a Qodly.com account, you can start to develop right now, and it's free to develop. You have access to the sandbox. You can start to build. And then the next question that you had was, when will it be out of beta? Very soon. The team is working on night and day to get it out of beta as quickly as possible, but it should be very soon. We don't have a final date, but it's imminent. So we recommend popping in there, starting to play for when it is ready. You've got a little bit of time, but if you do have any questions that come up, feel free to reach out to the forums, or if it's a specific question for you and your business, feel free to reach out to your account executive, and then they will definitely support you and support you with any of the questions that you have. All right. Thank you very much and have a great day.